parts of the Hudson Valley will have a 70% chance of flash flooding. If that doesn't sound serious, remember last year when we saw the 1,000-year flooding event in Highland Falls? That was a 70% chance of flash flooding. Remember when we saw the flash flooding in September in New York City? That also had a 70% chance of flash flooding. So that's the risk level we're dealing with right now. So as we speak, state officials are closely monitoring forecasts and preparing for every possible outcome. So joining me live from the Emergency Operations Center are Commissioner Jackie Bray, the Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Services, and Commissioner Basil Sagos from the Department of Environmental Conservation. Now make no mistake, this could be a life-threatening storm. It is a statewide event, but it's hitting the different regions of our state very differently. Let's go region by region. Right now, the biggest concern is flash flooding. With a 70% chance of flash flooding in the Hudson Valley starting Tuesday night, but the rain will start around noon tomorrow. That could last several days. We're expecting as much as 4 inches of rain. That's the equivalent of 4 feet of snow. But the problem is when you combine that with the fact that parts of the Hudson Valley already got 18 inches of snow yesterday, that could lead to very dangerous conditions. And in New York City and Long Island, in addition to the rain, we expect wind to be hitting gusts as high as 60 miles an hour, leading to moderate coastal flooding. Now over in western New York, central New York, and the North Country, our biggest concern are the high winds. Wind gusts could be as high as 70 miles an hour, especially off of Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That's nearly as strong as a Category 1 hurricane. That could lead to widespread power outages from power lines or trees that fall from the wind. And that's why right now we are pre-positioning over 8,800 utility workers and 75 massive generators to be able to handle any power outages that affect traffic signals. Now, I know you've heard weather warnings from me before. Just yesterday we were talking about a massive snow event. And we were able to handle this weekend's snow event very well. But tomorrow's storm is different, and we're taking it very seriously. Our State Operations Center is already is functioning, and we'll be providing New Yorkers with the best possible information from our brand new State Weather Risk Communications Center. That gives us up-to-the-minute details on where the rain will fall and whether or not it's vulnerable to flooding. As we've said before, flash floods can be extremely dangerous. So we're pre-deploying 4 swiftwater rescue teams from state agencies. The DOT and Thruway Authority are proactively checking and clearing storm drains and culverts. Digital billboards are being used to warn drivers right now as well. Here's some safety tips. We still have time, that's the good news. And I appreciate you listening to these warnings. We have about 24 hours before the major part of the storm hits, so now is the time to prepare. If you live in an area that typically floods, and much of our state is in flood zones, take some time to put together a go bag with your medication, your prescription, phone chargers, clothes, and snacks. Think about the best route to take in an unlikely event of evacuation. And here's my best advice. Please stay off the roads. As the saying goes, turn around, don't drown. I've said before, the vast majority of deaths during extreme flooding events come from individuals stuck in their cars. 6 inches of swiftly moving water can help make you lose control of the steering wheel or even knock you off your feet. And 2 feet of water could literally sweep your car away. Remember, we're expecting up to 4 inches of rain tomorrow. So combining that with the multiple inches of melted snow, we're talking about a very dangerous combination. Let me be clear. This will be an emergency. It will be serious, and we're urging all New Yorkers to exercise extreme caution at this time. Now I'll turn it over to Commissioner Jackie Bray and Commissioner Basil Sagos. They're in our Emergency Operations Center and can walk you through the forecast as well as answer any questions you may have. Commissioners, over to you.
Thanks so much, Governor. And I'm really happy to be joined by Commissioner Sagos, who's going to, in a second, talk to us about what we're dealing with in terms of how much water is out there, particularly for the Hudson Valley. As the governor said, we're dealing with a statewide event starting around noon tomorrow, running through noon on Wednesday with lingering effects, particularly those of us who live in the Hudson Valley on flash flooding. We expect the event to start around noon with a mix of snow and rain and very high winds in Western New York, Central New York, and the North Country. The most intense rain will pick up in the Hudson Valley in the overnight hours, Tuesday into Wednesday, and then we'll taper off Wednesday. That said, there is the significant risk of flash flooding, 40 to 70% chance of flash flooding somewhere, in northern Westchester, all the way to southern Greene, southern Columbia County, out west to Sullivan County. And so we want New Yorkers in that area to be on high alert. You should make sure that you're listening to your local weather reports, particularly before you go out, before you leave your house for Wednesday morning's commute. If you have to drive, if you have to leave your house, turn on the news, make sure you know what your local area is experiencing. And we want to make sure that folks are ready, that folks know how to get to higher ground, that you've got the supplies you might need in your car, and that you're prepared for not only a wet situation Wednesday morning, but a potentially dangerous situation in those counties. The governor ran through some of this, but I just want to reiterate, the State Emergency Operations Center will be open as of noon tomorrow. We'll stay open through the duration of the event. All of our stockpiles are open and available. Those in the center of this event will be open 24/7. We've already deployed dozens of generators out to support traffic signals that might go down in Western and Central New York. We have over 1,000 generators statewide available to deploy. The utility companies have about 8,800 people ready. That is a significant increase over our normal base. That's about 3,800 people more than you would see on a day-to-day here in New York. Commissioner Sagos is going to talk to our swift water rescue capabilities. I do want to just go over some travel information. So MTA Bridges and Tunnels have implemented an empty tractor trailer and a tandem truck ban beginning 6 p.m. on Tuesday and running till 6 a.m. on Wednesday. The State Department of Transportation, I'm going to read this because I want to get it right. In Western New York, empty trucks and trailers and all tandem trucks are banned beginning at 10 a.m. tomorrow for Buffalo Skyway, that's New York 5, New York 219, New York 400, I-290, the Kensington Expressway, that's New York 33, and I-86 in Chautauqua and Cattaraugus counties only for I-86. In Central New York and the North Country, empty trucks, trailers, and all tandem trucks are banned beginning at noon tomorrow on I-81 between Syracuse and exit 49 in Jefferson County. And there will be more information about travel considerations as tonight and tomorrow morning unfolds. And so please pay attention, as we said, to local information. Just a couple safety tips before I turn it over to Commissioner Sagos. As the governor said, most flooding deaths occur during when people are in their vehicles. A very small amount of quickly moving water can sweep you away. We had a tragic death in the last 30 days in Greene County due to flash flooding and someone getting trapped in a vehicle. So we don't want that to happen to anyone. In addition to vehicle safety, again, make sure you know how to get to higher ground. Make sure you have supplies on hand. We do expect significant power outages in Western New York, Central New York, and the North Country. So make sure that if your medication requires refrigeration, that you have a backup plan for that. A closed refrigerator, closed freezer will maintain its temperature for about 4 hours. If it's full, a full fridge will maintain temperature for about 48 hours. So make sure that you're paying attention to that. If you get stuck in a very cold home, close off rooms that you don't need. Go to a central room, stay there as a family if you're unable to make it to a warming center. And just some generator safety, because I know New Yorkers, lots of people have generators. Those always need to be operated outside. They do pose a carbon monoxide risk if they're operated inside or operated unsafely. Ditto for gas stoves or grills. Those need to not be used for heat. And with that, I'm going to turn over to Commissioner Sagos. And will you tell us more about why it is so wet out there and why we're so worried about flood risks in the Hudson Valley?
Thank you, Commissioner Bray. Great to be with you as always. Yes, I mean, we're coming to you right now for a good reason. In the last 30 days, there's been about 30 inches of rain, or the equivalent thereof, that has fallen onto the ground. So this is a really serious issue. When you add to it the potential for 4 additional inches of rain, that's what triggers that high risk of flash flooding. So please take this seriously, right? You need to hear things 3 times generally to internalize that. And that is, don't drive through water, right? Don't drive through the water. And use the time that you have right now to get ahead of the issue. And that is the most simple thing you can do sometimes in these low-lying areas, is to clean out storm drains. Make sure there's no leaves or debris covering the storm drains. Let that water that falls on the ground and drains out, let it hit the drain and go out to low-lying areas out in the Atlantic. We are ready. We're preparing our teams, as the governor and Jackie both mentioned, on the Swiftwater side. We have 4 Swiftwater teams that are actually currently in place right now. 2 in Westchester County, 1 in Ulster, and 1 in Orange. So hopefully we don't need those teams, but they are ready to deploy in a moment's notice to any emergency situations. As to the coastal flooding situation, yes, it is a moderate likelihood of moderate flooding, but we're seeing likely the highest risk time to be at high tide Wednesday morning. So it's early Wednesday morning. Those of you that are on the coastal areas, New York City, Long Island, just be aware of the potential for that flooding when the high tide comes. So that is the situation with water. Jackie, and I think I'll turn it back over to you if you have anything to add.
If you have questions, you can ask them now through the raised hands function. Maybe we covered it all in no one has questions.
Possible. It's usually the case.
You know.
Usually the case.
One more piece of information while we're waiting to see if folks have questions. In addition to the tandem and empty truck and trailer bans that I discussed, we are adding a ban to the New York State Thruway. Tomorrow, this will be all empty tractor trailers and any tandem truck will be restricted from traveling the New York State Thruway, I-90 exit 36 to the Pennsylvania border. That's the Watertown Binghamton I-81 exit to the Pennsylvania border, exit 36 on the Thruway to the Pennsylvania border, and then on the Niagara Thruway, which is I-190, exit 22, beginning from exit 22, beginning at 10 a.m. Tomorrow. So more empty truck, empty trailer, and all tandem tractor trailer bans. Avi, do we have any questions?
If anybody has any questions, thank you very much, Commissioners. Please use the raise hand function on your Zoom, and we'll be happy to take some questions from you. Thanks. Okay, seeing none, we will close this out. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great evening.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Recording